Hello from Studio C70 at the Committee of 70. I'm Patrick Christmas. We are live. Election day is next month. Huge primary for the city of Philadelphia. Judicial offices on the ballot, city offices on the ballot, mayor, city council, row offices. Elections are a big deal, of course, for those of us at 70 and across the city. And elections are like job interviews. The candidates are like the job applicants, the voters like the hiring committee. We have one of those job applicants with us today, running for city council, Abdullah.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming
Thank
by.
you. Yes.
So we only have 15 minutes today. Let's jump right into it. Why are you running for city council?
I am running for city council because I want to make sure that the common man and the common woman in the city of Philadelphia, that they have a voice. Too often we have people who live in low income areas and they are not being able to be heard, and they need representation to get their point across, to just have the seat at the table. And I believe that I am the person that will be able to navigate the political process and also educate the common people on the political process.
Gotcha. So you tell us a little bit about your background, your work career, your civic and community experience, and how is that going to translate into being a city council member?
Yeah, so this isn't my first time in politics. I actually started my political career in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and I ran for mayor 2 years ago in Atlantic City. I ran for council at large, and I started just by being a mentor, going around just working with youth and working with people, helping people get jobs. And I had a lot of experience with working with individuals who were already in position. So I would be that liaison from the community and those who were in position to get people jobs and people housing placement, and also just getting programs started. When I came back to Philadelphia, I looked at all of the issues that we're facing in this city, and I said I had to make sure that I put everything that I've learned throughout my political process back into the field of politics.
So you're no stranger to local politics here. I mean, here at 70, we've been around for a long time, trying to work to open up the political process and make it more accessible and transparent. As far as city hall goes, I guess I use that term pretty generically. City hall, between mayor and city council, even our ward system here in Philadelphia. What do you think should be working better in our local politics?
Wow, where
Big
can
question.
I start? I mean, it's so many things. First and foremost, a lot of people don't understand, as I was saying, the political process. They don't know what a ward leader does. They don't know what committee people do. They don't know council members do. They don't even know the job description of a mayor. And I feel that because there's a lack of transparency throughout this city and just politics locally, you have a lack thereof, and people that don't even want to come out and participate because they don't get that feel for who they are supporting. So what I see with the ward leaders or people who may live in communities, they go throughout the communities and say who people should vote for. And, well, this is who we support. You support me, so I support them. So now I need your support to support them. And there's a lack of transparency, and people don't even know why they're voting for people. And this is why you have millennials or people who are registered to vote that don't come out and vote, that say, you know what, I'm not voting for anyone because I don't even understand the process. So I see that as a problem, and I see this is why this election is being very quiet, because if you can keep certain individuals away from learning who they're voting for, then you can continue to have the same games that are being played year in and year out.
And as far as city council as our local legislature goes, what reforms do you think would be helpful around that particular body? I mean, I'll point out that with regard to both the legislature and the executive branch, Philadelphia has actually made a huge leap forward over the past 15 years in its ethics and campaign finance rules. But should those be sharpened up further and strengthened further, or are there other reforms that we should be talking about?
So as it relates to
city council in particular.
Yes. I think that it needs to be an open election. I don't believe that the Democratic Party should endorse anyone because we're all Democrats. And when you endorse certain candidates, it kind of singles out the rest of the candidates who are running as Democrats and make it seem like, well, this is the Democratic slate. I believe that everyone should fight to show people why they are the better candidate. And then in the general election, that's when you put your team together, because there will be people who are endorsed by the Democratic slate that will not win. And now you have an issue because some people may feel slighted because they didn't get the support from the Democratic Party. And I just believe that that needs to change.
So city committee, for example, shouldn't be putting out citywide endorsements. What about individual wards or other groups within the city? Should they be talking with the voters and with committee people to put together a list of endorsements for their particular community?
That's a great question. I think that is fine because when you have people who have different organizations and they feel like, well, these are the individuals that came and supported what we're doing and they understand our issues, I believe that that is okay. But when it comes to the Democratic Party, which they were supposed to stay out of this race, and I don't know what happened, I think that the organizations, if people come to your meeting or some of your forums, then you have a right to endorse those group of people. But as far as the Democratic Party, we all are Democrats. So until the primary is over, I think that the Democratic Party should stay out.
So you're getting more at the endorsements that city committee puts together and that are pushed down through the wards without any actual open small d democratic discussion actually in those wards amongst the committee people.
Yes. Say it again.
So like when when a ward takes on the endorsements of the city committee without giving the committee people in that particular ward a say. So I guess that's where maybe where the issue is.
That is a big time issue because if the wards are supported by the Democratic Party, then it's automatically like, okay, well, this is who the party's going with, this is who we're going with. And I think that does a disservice because a lot of people may not even get the opportunity to be heard. Their platform may not have the opportunity to resonate throughout the rest of the city because it's like, these are the people that we are endorsing, these are the individuals that we're going to invite to our meetings. And that just happened.
And with regard to city council, so C70 just put out a platform, Philadelphia Resolution 1 PR1 last week, just kind of spur some discussion, debate around maybe some of the things that we should be changing around here. It includes things like redistricting. Right now, city council draws their own districts. Maybe we should have citizens draw those instead of the electeds. Term limits are in there. There's a note about something needs to change around councilman prerogative. What are your thoughts around those issues?
So when it comes to term limits, I am a strong advocate that we only need 2 terms. That's it. I don't believe in 3 terms, staying in office forever, because eventually you start to become stagnant in your thought process. And if you're, in this thing to really help, to make change, once you get to that level, remove yourself or go for another position. But continuing to run for the same position over and over and over again, it starts to leave the notion that when I am done being the boss, then I will remove myself. But then you start to disenfranchise other people who may want to have that opportunity, but because you still hold the power, it takes away from those people who are saying, look, I want a chance to show what I can do. It takes that away from them. So I believe that we do need term limits, and I said two term limits. That's 8 years. 8 years. Same thing with the mayor. The mayor has 2 terms. Council should have 2 terms as well. But even when it comes to council matter prerogative, I am in favor of council matter prerogative as long as the council person is doing right for the constituents of their district.
And it seems like, so council matter prerogative has gotten kind of a shocking amount of attention, and not just from the press, but from advocates and activists, developers this past year. If we can legislate some changes around that particular practice, right? Because it gets referred to often as an unwritten tradition. What can we legislate or rules we could put in place around it to make it work better and to guard against some of the bad behavior we've seen, isolated though it may be?
I believe that when it pertains to the district council member having this prerogative, I believe that the community needs to have say so, especially the community that the district council is serving. Create some type of committees before something gets passed. It needs to go down the chain of command and allow certain things to translate so that the residents, the common people, can understand exactly why this development is coming into this district before it is approved by the district council. I believe that it needs to have protocol, allow the committee to say something to those that are not part of the committee, which could be the residents, and say, listen, what do you guys want to see? I feel too often that elected officials, they take all of the credit, but then they don't want to take the blame when certain things go wrong. So if you allow everyone to be included, then we can make decisions that's going to service the community best.
So those district council members, they should continue to have a role in these land use decisions, but there needs to be a very clear rules as to how that role is carried out.
Yes, I definitely agree that they still should have councilmatic prerogative, but there needs to be guidelines in place so that it can be fair for everyone.
Got it. So I'll throw one more out there that was part of our platform. So the redistricting process, there's been a whole lot of advocacy around redistricting reform at the state level in Harrisburg for our state legislative and our congressional boundaries. Here in Philadelphia, the charter says that city council, they draw their own districts and they have a certain amount of time to do it. After 6 months, they don't get they go without their paychecks. The mayor does have to sign off on those maps through the regular kind of legislative process. What do you think might we want to consider changing around that? Is it okay for council to draw their own districts? Are there other things around public engagement and transparency that we should be putting into effect?
I feel that as a council member, someone who is in a leadership position, I don't think that you should have complete control over everything. If you're here to service the people, you have to make sure that you allow the community to have insight to everything that you're doing. So if you're redistricting because of, say, that the community is changing, and you're like, okay, well, I need to win again, so let me do this or let me do that. I believe, once again, it does a disservice, because when there's new people moving into your district, you want to be able to reach them as well. So I do believe that when it comes to that, you need to still allow the community to have insight into everything that you're doing, because you're elected to serve and you're hired by the people. So I look forward to those challenges, when it comes to working with people that I may not see every day, the diversity. And that's what leaders, they have to learn how to adapt to change, and not change because the change is coming within their community.
So we have a few more minutes left. Let me throw this kind of big question at you. So you're part of the next city council. Like, what is a big thing that you want to get done in that first year?
Education reform. Me and you both talked about being educators. Me teaching in the inner city, seeing that children come to school with trauma issues every day, the behaviors, not learning because of the things that they're going through in their environment or maybe at home. What I want to do is try to put into curriculum life skills, and whereas though teachers can add that into instructions, where kids can learn how to talk about the things that they're facing on a day-to-day basis, so that they can be excited about learning and not feel slighted because they just saw someone get shot, or they didn't eat and things like that. Life skills needs to definitely be added into the schools for these kids that we're dealing with. And then also quickly, the criminal justice reform. I hear a lot of people talking about it on how they're going to change it, but on a local level, what I want to see happen is have it court mandated where juveniles, depending on what they're convicted of, that they are placed into programs where they can go and do community service, go outside of their communities or their neighborhoods and see the city as it is. You have young people that live in North Philadelphia has never been to West Philadelphia. They don't even know how close it is. So I want to have them doing community service, learning about one another, and also getting job training and education about life or education about their city, so that they won't go back or recommit a crime. And I think that's where we're lacking right there.
Around job training in particular. So because as far as the curriculum goes, I guess council maybe could have a kind of a political or public voice on that. And in the past, council has passed resolutions urging the school system to use a certain textbook or another around job training, preparing our young people to have a job that pays. What can council do there?
Well, we can also advocate, whereas we're having financial literacy for students, that they're learning how to budget money or to save money, or what to do once they're out of school, preparing them to get jobs for the summer. I believe the council can create hubs where organizations that are already active in the city, that they are already prepared resourcefully, that they can start hiring young people that as soon as school is out, you automatically get a job. We already are going into the schools and not waiting for the kids to come to us, but we're going to the schools and saying, listen, we have this amount of jobs. We need to get everyone prepared. And I feel like we do a disservice when it comes to that.
All righty. Well, that was just about it.
I know that was quick.
We covered a lot of ground in that time.
Absolutely.
Fareed, Abdullah, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
on.
very much.
Primary day, May 21, big election. There are a ton of candidates and offices on the ballot, including Fareed. Use 70's nonpartisan voter guide, ballot.70.org. You can also download our app. It's called the We Vote app, wherever you download your apps at home. Thank you to Thomas Gellin Harrison for providing the funding for this broadcast, and we'll see you on Election Day.
Yes, I'm number 81 on the ballot.
81 on the ballot.
All right.
Good luck, Fareed.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right.